Welcome back to this already the final segment of today's Price of Business, and I am your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. Delighted to have Charles Alvarez here on the program. He's a regular contributor on the Price of Business. We always enjoy our time together. Usually we have a guest on talking about what's happening in the business world in which he lives in, but often we have him on just to talk about what's going on in business. And I think today's topic that he has in mind should be very timely for us. Good to see you, Charles.
Always good to be here, Kevin. How are you?
Good. So tell us what you got for us today.
Well, one thing that I have come across here in the recent months for good reason, especially here in Houston, is the fact that oil prices have just gotten hammered. They started going down in October, and then when OPEC announced their decision as to what they were going to do in November, that really just took a sinking ship and made it get to the bottom even that much faster. But what we're finding is we're getting a lot of feedback from our clients who sell to upstream oil and gas companies that it's getting difficult out there. It's getting really hard. And my encouragement to them is that every market brings opportunities. When oil prices are high, it brings opportunities. When oil prices are low, it brings opportunities. But one thing that it's forcing people really to do, especially sales teams of these companies that sell to upstream oil and gas companies, is it's really forcing them to actually be in sales. Sales, to me, is the process as to which you understand what it is, the challenges that the clients or the customers are having, provide a challenge at a competitive price, and to where it's a win-win situation for all parties involved. And when oil prices were above 90, really you didn't have to be that good of a salesman in the oil and gas business to do really well because you're pretty much just an order taker. Whereas now you have to actually go out there and build relationships, develop friendships, go out there and start marketing yourself and trying to build relationships with your target market, and actually going out there and finding out what it is that these upstream oil and gas companies need right now and find out ways that you can actually serve them. Yeah,
I think that's probably true. I think that, the low-hanging fruit is really changed. You're going to have to get a ladder. You're going to have to get creative in how you present what you present and what you do. And what do you think about the idea of, businesses figuring out what their current core is and maybe expanding it to other industries instead of energy if it can translate well?
I completely agree. As a matter of fact, with our clients, we've been doing just that, which is, like, for example, if you're an engineering firm that put control systems together, there's more than just oil and gas businesses that need control systems put together. So, yeah, it's not just thinking about, how can we build a relationship with the oil and gas industry, is how can we use our product and service for other businesses out there, and, who are the decision makers that is going to buy your product in another industry that, could use the same types of products and services you have.
Yeah.
Or can you custom design something for that particular industry and create yourself a whole brand new niche?
Yeah, exactly right. And so people ought to be challenging themselves in that way. And it's interesting because a lot of people in the last 24 or even 36 months have just made a transition of expanding rapidly into energy because it looked like such a sweet spot. Mm-hmm. Now, maybe not so much. I mean, we ought to revisit where they came from and then also revisit some other parallel industries that are good to go at because, it's all about money. It doesn't really matter where your client is getting the money. It's whether or not you're going to get money from your client.
That's true. And people, I think, sometimes in good times forget the business cycle. I mean, the business cycle has been the same since day one, right? You have the initial, the exponential growth phase, and you have you have the incubation phase at first, where things start to recover. Then they go into exponential growth, and that lasts for a good 2 to 3 years. And then you have kind of like what I call the topping formation, to where you typically see that that particular industry or that particular product or service starts to get mature. And then you have the decline phase because you have new entrants coming into the marketplace and drives up supply and whereas demand is relatively constant in that industry, so it drives the prices down. So it always happens. The question is, and what differentiates a great company from a not so great company is when things are going well, they don't sit there and count their money at the table, as Kenny Rogers used to say, but they literally say, okay, what other industries can we diversify into now that we have the cash flow to support it? Because unfortunately, a lot of people are scrambling right now.
Yeah. I also think of Home Alone too. Never count your tips in public. Don't do that either. all these etiquette things that we should have learned somewhere other than in the hotel lobby. But yeah, absolutely. So a lot of businesses that are moving into the energy, are moved into the energy mode, are freaking out. Obviously, something that you said that I thought was very timely and should resonate with people is that money can be made in every single economy. Some people got extraordinarily rich during the Great Depression. Let's not try to test your theory by going to a Great Depression, but nonetheless, the problem is I think people move to their emotions rather than stay in their head when they really ought to be staying in clarity and staying in their head. Any thoughts or ideas in that whole arena to help people keep their heads above water?
Yeah, here's the thing. We have about a $20 to $22 trillion economy, right? So if you take what your business goal is out there, let's say that you want to become a $10 million company. Take $10 million and divide it by 20 or 22 trillion. Let's just say this. There are a lot of zeros after that decimal point. So, the fact of the matter is that despite the fact that we might have a decline or some type of a slowdown in growth or whatever you want to call it, there still is business activity out there. There are still people that need products and services done, even with the amount of layoffs, which is my heart goes out to the people that are losing their jobs right now due to the oil prices. There's still activity. Last time I checked, I put gas in my car this morning, so I think somebody is still, at least one person in Houston is still demanding energy. Well, what I'm saying by that is there's still demand going on. There's still business that has to happen. Industrial factories still have to be maintained and run. Cars still have to be driven. So just because there's a decline doesn't mean it stops, but it's our opportunity and it's our job as business owners to say, okay, how can we take the current environment and still make money off it? Because we're still living in a $20 to $22 trillion economy.
Yeah, absolutely. Charles Alvarez, he does this practicably, he helps businesses make these transitions all the time. He's worked with companies I've been involved in, and that's why we get him on the program. Talk a little bit about how working with a client typically works. What does that entail?
There's two basic ways, and I mean the two main value items that we deliver is the first thing we do is we increase sales 25 to 35% over a 6 to 12 month period, and we do that guarantee. What does a guarantee mean? The guarantee is simple. If we don't get you to the results that you want, we just give your money back, no questions asked. Mm-hmm. The second thing that we do, which actually is more in demand during good times, actually, is leadership and management training, to where you're trying to get your employees engaged in your business and get them to work alongside with you versus what may seem to be against you as you go out there and realize your business goals. As a matter of fact, Harvard Business Review found that in the workforce, 20% of your employees are miserable, 50% are apathetic, and the remaining 30% are engaged. In other words, they're there, they're into it, they buy into your vision, and they're ready to move full charge ahead. But the problem is those 30% are fighting against the 70% that aren't. So one of our jobs during times are going well is to actually get all your employees engaged in helping you accomplish your business vision so that you can all do it as a team and in unison.
Yeah.
So those are the two ways.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess, typically when people find you, they're not looking for you because the fruit's really low. They're looking for you because it's not so low.
That's correct.
And so I guess in some ways, these can be opportunities for you and your firm.
Yeah, no. As a matter of fact, we've had a lot of people ask me, "How are we doing?" And it's like I said, I got to practice what I preach, and what that is that every market develops opportunities. I mean, we've actually picked up quite a few oil and gas clients over the last couple of weeks, simply because they come and say, "Look, our salespeople have to stop being order takers and actually be salesmen and go out there and make stuff happen," because during the boom. They got stuck in operations because we didn't have enough people to actually fulfill it, so they had to fill in the operations role. Well, now they don't have that luxury.
Yeah, no question about it. Again, Charles Alvarez doing a great job as always. Love having him on the program. Do want to remind you that you can learn more about him over there at QuarterstoneBusinessAcademy.com. That's QuarterstoneBusinessAcademy.com. And final thoughts?
Don't let the poor economy make excuses as to why you can't hit your business goals this year. Because if you find an excuse for it, you're probably going to achieve that excuse.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Thanks so much for being with us, sir.
Always good being here, Kevin. Thank you.
Do want to remind you, best content here can be found over there at usdailyreview.com. While there, like it on Facebook, follow it on Twitter, and also want to remind you to have a great rest of your day. Spend it wisely right here on this station.
Portions of today's Price of Business brought to you by C12, Houston West Chamber of Commerce, and Cornerstone Business Academy.